BBC World News, this is Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
We have established contact with Paolo Nespoli.
Alpha, this is BBC News in London. How do you hear me?
BBC News, this is station. We hear loud and clear.
Hearing us now, or...
Thank you. I am now handing you over to BBC anchor Tim Wilcox. Please go ahead.
You're watching BBC News. We are live.
Hello, everybody.
On the International Space Station with the Italian astronaut Paolo Nespoli. He's been up there a month. Hello, Paolo. Can you hear us?
With you loud and clear. Welcome on board of the Columbus, European Columbus Laboratory on the International Space Station.
Paolo, there's quite a big delay, I'm afraid. I think some 7 or 8 seconds. But how are you feeling? You've been up there a month.
Very good, very good. The launch was very nice. Everything went pretty good. 2 days on this small vehicle, which is the Russian Soyuz spacecraft. But then we docked to the station, and here we are in our home, in our laboratory, and it's very nice to be here.
The small vehicle Soyuz, because I think you're 6'6" or 6'7", a bit of a tight squeeze for you to get in there. Was that uncomfortable, the journey up?
Actually, I'm 6'2", but even at 6'2", it's quite, I wouldn't say uncomfortable. The Soyuz was made for smaller people. In fact, I had to make a little modification on the seat to fit me in there, but it's okay. I mean, once you are in space, everything, even small spaces, get this three-dimensional effect. So you can have people on the ceiling, either on the floor, either on the walls. So it gets a little bit more comfortable. The important thing, though, is not the comfort. But it's the fact that the Soyuz is a very reliable spacecraft. In all these years, has been a proven spacecraft, can take people from Earth up in space and back to Earth without problems.
Okay, Paolo, because of the delay on the line, I've got a lot of viewers' questions to put to you. But first of all, perhaps you would just explain what you're doing in terms of experiments up there, and just give us a little tour around the laboratory there on the International Space Station.
Yes, so this is one of the 3 major laboratories that there are on board of the International Space Station. There is a U.S. laboratory, Japanese laboratory, and a European laboratory. These laboratories are interested because they are modular. Each one of these structures, they're called racks, and can accommodate a full facility to carry out an experiment in certain discipline, or drawers that have a single experiment. And the interesting part is that these racks are modular. They can be positioned anywhere on the floor, on the ceiling. I can easily go on the ceiling and work here. How I would not be able to do in space, I mean on the ground. And while I'm here on the ceiling, somebody else can be working here on the side. So it's very interesting because you get this multiplication effect. We have facilities, and by the way, once in a while you get lost, so I'm trying to figure out where is the camera now. We have facilities that can have us doing experiments on life science, material science, physiology. I mean, we can do almost everything that any scientist on Earth can dream about.
And presumably, this is one of the reasons ESA and you as an astronaut would say it's essential to keep funding space exploration like this, because of the value of experiments that can be carried out and have impact back on Earth.
Well, yes, the fact that we go here in space, and the main reason is because here we find an environment that we don't have on Earth, and what you cannot do on Earth, you can do easily here. You know, once you remove gravity from the equation, things behave in a really different way up here in space, and so you can do things that are really different. So as so, for example, water floats around, so a lot of things happen here, and taking away gravity, you end up being able to do a lot of things that on Earth are simply impossible.
How does that make things like showering?
Sorry, say it again.
How does that make things like showering or just normal bathroom activities?
Well, interesting. It's interesting because you know I think I have a lot of fun coming up here because it's like being a kid, you know, rediscovering everything. You try to do things the way you normally do, and they don't work. You simply find yourself very frustrated, and so you need to learn everything from scratch. Like walking, and of course you cannot walk here. You go around using your hands, and showering. It's another thing. We actually cannot shower because water will go all over the place. So what we usually do, we take a towel, put some water with some soap, and use it in this way. We have a special shampoo that we can put in our hair and they dry in that way. We brush our teeth, and the dream of every kid, we actually swallow everything. So you can do things here, and it's pretty good, I would say.
Let's go to some of the questions from our viewers all over the world. Stephen McGrath from Manchester, Vermont in the United States. He wants to know what it's like sleeping in space, because presumably you need to be strapped in, don't you?
Actually, it's very interesting because if I would let myself go like this, I would just fall asleep and it would be okay. I mean, the only problem is that there is always air circulation in these modules because the air would not circulate by itself. So there is a force, a circulation. Air has to be clean and continuously replenished with oxygen. So this force ventilation drives you in a certain way, and if you don't pay attention, eventually you end up with your head stuck in one of the grills where the air is sucked in. So what we do at night, we have a crew quarters, which is a little place where we can go in, and inside there is a sleeping bag where we actually go in, and it's just for a containment. Mine is just fixed at the bottom by the feet, and then I'm floating around. So I find myself, I wake up in the morning and I'm in all sorts of weird position, but I have to say that it's really, really comfortable.
I'll take your word for it. Theo Russell from London says, how does your body clock adapt to orbiting the Earth so rapidly? Do you suffer from space lag? Does this disrupt your sleep and other functions as well? And one question that struck us, what time is it up there? Because it must be moving more quickly, isn't it?
Actually, this is an interesting question coming from UK because we actually use GMT time. So the current time now it's 2:19, and this is the time we use. We are a little bit shifted towards the Moscow time, so we do things a little bit earlier than we would be doing them if we would be in London, but the time is actually the London time. And it's true, we are rotating around Earth so fast that every 40 minutes we have a sunrise or a sunset, so like 16 sunrises or sunsets per day, and if you would be looking outside the window, you will get totally confused. But we actually sync our clock according to our body clock, according to the working day, so we try to go to bed around 10, 11, midnight, wake up around 6, and then we have the working day. It's still a little bit strange where in the middle of the day I look at the map, and by the way, we'll be over exactly above the London vertical in 15 minutes. I will go there and look outside. It's pitch dark down on Earth, and it's the middle of the day. Or time to go to bed for me, and I go take a look at the window, and it's sunny somewhere. So it's a little bit shocking at the beginning, but the body gets adjusted pretty quickly.
How are you coping with life with your fellow astronauts? I mean, how do you resolve maybe problems that arise over a 6-month period?
Well, we get up here as a crew, and there are 6 people on board of the space station right now, and we know each other very well. We have been training for at least 2 years, if not more, in the case of my fellow American astronauts, and we do have a way to address issues that may pop up. We have what is called crew resource management, so we talk, we bring forward things, and everything is going really good. So far, we had absolutely no problems. Everybody knows what are their roles, and we try to establish rules like you don't pull out something and leave it there. Try to clean up after yourself, things like this, and so far, absolutely no problem.
Okay, another question just about space and exploration. Christian Reyes from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, United States. Can you see lots of stars from the space station, or does the light reflected from the Earth block them out?
That's an interesting question coming from Christian there. Actually, yes, we can see the stars. And the interesting thing, though, is that our cupola, which is our view down on Earth, is usually perpendicular down to Earth. So we always see the Earth with part of the sky around. And you can actually see the stars pretty well at night. But I would say they are not really more visible than down from Earth. Of course, you have to be outside of a city. I mean, they are a little bit clearer. You can see all of them. You can see the Milky Way very nicely, but they are not closer. People think that we are close to them and we see better. They are actually at the same distance as they are if we were on Earth.
What about weather systems, La Nina, the terrible flooding that we've seen not only in Australia but Brazil? How evident is that from where you are in terms of cloud formation?
Actually, this is interesting to me because the first time I came in space and I looked outside the window, I figured out that there are a lot of clouds over Earth. I mean, I would guess that 60-70% of the Earth's surface is covered by clouds, and so it looks very. These clear skies that we see from Earth sometimes for days here do not exist because there is always a cloud there, and so it looks that these atmospheric phenomena are always there, and it's very difficult to actually see down. And at least for me, I guess a trained eye maybe can do that, but for me, looking down, I cannot figure out there is anything specific different in any location. We are still trying to use our lenses to focus down on the area in Australia and Brazil, and even in Europe with a lot of snow. We are trying to see if we can pinpoint some of these places, but so far I personally had no luck.
Okay, we have Pete Chung from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. My question is, as one of the few chosen who's made it outside the Earth's atmosphere, what is the moral and emotional pull that may come to you as you look back to the Earth through the windows of the International Space Station?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, it's amazing here from Earth that you really don't see any boundary, anything. I mean, it's Earth, and it shows that we are all together in this, and the Earth is our home, our environment. So we really need to start thinking in terms of humanity all together instead of little countries kind of fighting each other. And by the way, we are all close together, at least seen from up here. And the other thing is that I always, especially during sunset or sunrise, I see the atmosphere being illuminated by the sun, and I can see how the atmosphere is so thin in respect to the Earth, and it gives me an impression of fragility, and I'm thinking that we really need to pay attention and be careful of what we are doing because the Earth is fragile. It's beautiful but fragile, and we need to be careful there.
One last question, I'm afraid, Paolo. This is from Buzz Purdy. It's a bit more prosaic. There's never much talk about what the atmosphere and smells are like in space. Without gravity, particles may settle in out-of-the-way places and things. How important is hygiene? And just as a rider to that, in terms of the water recycling system, is that quite tricky when you're facing a cup of coffee in the morning, knowing where it's come from?
Great questions. So I'm very, very surprised, but the atmosphere here is very good. I would even say better than a regular house. I mean, because normally in the house, once in a while you need to open the window and exchange the air. Obviously here we cannot open the window and exchange air, but the life support system is doing this for us. So we continuously have open windows that suck in the air, clean it, replenish it with oxygen and spew it out again. And I really never smell anything nor have any problem here. It's very good. There is a little bit of something is just because all the fluids come up and make your head a little bit full. And for what concerns the recycling of water, I always tell people on Earth that if they think they are drinking brand new water, they are dreaming. It's also that one is recycled. I mean, it's not that we have new water, we use it and then we throw it away. The water that we throw out of the tap goes somewhere, gets clean and comes back again. So maybe in a lower percentage, but we all use recycled water. I have to say that the water here is controlled every day. There are instrumentation that really make sure that it's clear, free of contaminants, and actually, I'm afraid that I'm drinking much better water up here than what I was drinking back at home.
Well, Paolo Nespoli, it has been fascinating speaking to you. Thank you very much indeed. Paolo Nespoli on the International Space Station.
Do you think it's a pleasure to have you up here on board of the station? We will come back again. We will let you look outside the window, enjoy this magnificent view, and I'm looking forward for, in the future, everybody to be able to come up here, visit, and see the Earth from up here. Bye.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, BBC World News Station.
And Houston ACR, thank you. Appreciate it.
We are now resuming normal audio communications.